What's going on YouTube? Just wanted to do a quick little solar update on my system. I have 6 375 watt panels wired in series parallel here. I just got them kind of reconfigured. I used to have just those front two hooked up and those 6 panels hooked up in series parallel. But I was getting a little bit of voltage sag, so if I come over here to my RV, I'll show you what's going on the other side of it. I also have this panel right here. I got all these panels for really cheap, so I'm just trying to put them all to use. But I got this running up into a solar controller into my battery system up front. This just charges my lead acid batteries, but it's probably not pulling in too much power at the moment. But it keeps the battery completely topped off, all the house batteries that run the 12-volt system, so all the lights and water pump and whatnot. But it really doesn't charge too much in the morning. This is definitely for more in the evening once the sun comes down. And then let me show you the battery system here. So here's my battery system. It's a little dusty, and there's a lot of wires going on. I apologize. It's kind of a work in progress. If you hear that fan, it'll kick on. I apologize as well. It's just the inverter running the whole system. Eventually I want to wall this off, but these are my 4 100 amp hour lead time and ampere time batteries. And then I also have an 18 amp charger here, and then a 12 amp 24 volt Victron charger there. Let me just wait until this fan kicks off here. Alright, so here's the solar controller. It's a 130, and right now it's pretty much maxed out by my panels. So here is my battery. I'm right now at 92%, but if I go back to my solar here, you can see I'm running about 828 watts, which is right at the maximum of 30 amps. Sometimes it'll go over 30 amps just for a second. And I also have a fan right here cooling that solar controller, just to see if it helps with efficiency. I'm not sure. But right now, today, I've already pulled in 2.1 kilowatt hours, which usually with my old setup I was getting 3.5, 3.4, right around there, sometimes almost 4, but the voltage was lower and the wires were getting hot a little bit right here. Not too hot, but just warm. Now they don't even get warm, because with the new setup I'm getting 61 volts instead of like 44. And that's perfect for my 24 volt system. Eventually I might think about doing a 48 volt system, and if this ever dies, this is a 2500 watt 24 volt reliable power inverter. If this ever dies, I will probably get a 48 volt one, because that's the only thing in the system that really needs to be upgraded, and then I'd have to get new chargers. But yeah, so let me show you one more thing here. So excuse the noise, it's a little loud, but this is currently being ran completely off solar. And whenever the sun's out, pretty much the inverter runs this. So it's pulling about 450 watts running on high after it gets going and everything. It has a surge power of like 1300 watts, but just for a second. So I could actually run one of my ceiling ACs here. These pull about 13 to 1800 watts. But what I can do is I can start one of these first with no other load on the inverter, get it running, and then I set it to a really cold temperature so the compressor doesn't cycle on and off. And then I can actually, after a minute, turn this on. And I have to start it off on low, or just on the fan setting on low, and then I switch it to low cool after about 45 seconds. and then after that I can switch it to high. But with no other AC input, this is running my whole RV. It's running a small fridge. It's also running this fan for a lot of the time, and then I also have a diesel heater right over here. So that's installed, and it puts out a lot of heat, but obviously it's a little warm to run that right now. Once the winter comes, that'll be a perfect setup. So hopefully you guys got any information you needed out of this video. I want to just show you real quick how the inverter's set up. I have a wire ran from the inverter down to where the hookup is on the RV. I'll show you that real quick. So here's how I have my inverter set up. I have this conduit wire, or really heavy duty. It's a really thick cable, but it runs all the way to the inverter, and that's just the 3 cables you need for 110. And then I have the RV hookup where it comes out of this box, goes around in the coil, and then comes back into where the inverter is. So I just hook that up, turn the inverter on, and the whole RV is powered. And I do get a little bit of parasitic loss, but again, that solar panel up front that charges the lead acid batteries, it replaces much of the need for this next component over here. So that front panel I showed you earlier that was charging the lead acid battery, that runs my refrigerator for the most part. That's the biggest power draw I have. But this is what's called a converter. So it takes 120 and then converts it to 12 volt. So you get a little bit of power loss here and there with this if there's not enough sun to keep the front batteries charged and all the 12 volt lights running and the fans and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much the solar system. So just wanted to do an update and hope everyone found this maybe helpful. If you want to hook up an inverter, it's really easy. Some people overcomplicate it, but if you have a lithium battery, you can mount them inside and then hook up an inverter to the whole system, and it just works really well. So anyway, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.